Hey there, and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to tackle a topic that affects millions of us, but can feel, really confusing and even isolating. We're talking about menopause. It's a totally natural process, but the journey itself is so personal. We're here to help break it all down and hopefully bring a little clarity. So, let's get right into it. The big question we're asking today is what's actually going on in your body during this whole transition? Because it is so much more than just your period stopping. It's this really complex hormonal shift that can mess with everything from your mood to how well you sleep at night. Okay, and this right here, this is maybe the most important thing to keep in mind. One of the key things to take away from the Menopause Society's research is that there is no one-size-fits-all experience. Your journey is yours alone, and just understanding that there's a huge range of what's normal is the very first step. All right, so where does this whole journey really kick off? It's probably not when you think. It's often not with that final period, but actually years before it. So let's take a look at that very first stage, where you might start noticing the first little changes. This first stage is called perimenopause. You can think of it as the body's gradual on-ramp to the main event. And that word right there, unpredictably, that is the key. Those wild swings in your hormones are what's behind so many of those first signs that things are starting to shift. The early signs are kind of all over the map. Yeah, your cycle changing is the classic one, but look at what else is on this list. Mood shifts, trouble sleeping. These are things we might not immediately connect to menopause, but they are absolutely tied to those hormone swings we were just talking about. Okay, this number. This one catches a lot of people off guard. A major accelerated decline in fertility actually kicks in after age 35. This starts happening long before most of us even have menopause on our radar, which just goes to show you how early the body's reproductive timeline starts to change. All right, let's move on to the symptoms we hear about the most. These are the experiences that are most widely reported, and honestly, just knowing that what you're feeling is normal, that can be a huge relief. Wow, look at this. Up to 80%, 80. The big takeaway here is if you're getting those sudden hot flashes, you are absolutely not alone. You are in the vast majority of women. It's incredibly common. So what is a hot flash really? Well, the fancy medical term is vasomotor symptoms. Basically, it means your body's internal thermostat is just going haywire. It's not just feeling a little warm. It's this sudden, intense wave of heat that can come with sweating, chills, and even a feeling of anxiety. Okay, let's talk about another big one. Have you noticed your bleeding pattern changing? During perimenopause, normal kind of goes out the window. Your cycle might get shorter or longer, or heavier, or lighter. The key thing isn't to compare it to some textbook definition, but to notice how it's changing from your own personal normal. So, what do you do about it? Well, the advice here is super clear and actionable. First, track it. Seriously, data is your best friend. Get a calendar or an app and just make a note. Second, talk to a doctor about what you're seeing. And third, and this is so important, don't just write it off as just menopause. It probably is, but you want to be sure and rule out anything else. We've talked about the big headliners, right? But the story goes way deeper. Let's pull back the curtain on some other changes that are just as real, just as impactful, but don't get nearly as much airtime. Okay, this is a term I really want you to know. Genitourinary syndrome of menopause, or GSM for short. It's the real clinical name for a whole cluster of symptoms that happen because of a drop in estrogen. It affects the tissues in the vagina, the bladder, and the urethra. It's so important to know this isn't just a little dryness. It's a recognized medical condition. Now, this slide is so important because it highlights a critical difference. Hot flashes, they tend to get better over time, even if you do nothing. But GSM, it often gets worse if you don't treat it. And that's a huge deal. It means you can't just wait it out hoping it'll go away on its own. Let's zoom out even more. Because these hormone changes, they affect your whole body. We're talking about things like memory issues, that frustrating brain fog feeling, or new aches and pains in your joints, or even waking up in the middle of the night needing to pee.
Yep, that actually has a name. It's called nocturia. When you see them all listed together like this, you really start to see how it's all connected.
Okay, so knowing the symptoms is step one, but the next step is the most empowering one, knowing what you can actually do about it. So let's talk about moving forward and how you can really take the reins on your own experience. And the great news is there's no single right answer. It's a whole spectrum of options. You've got lifestyle changes like diet and exercise, non-prescription stuff you can get at the pharmacy, all the way to prescription therapies like hormone therapy. And for a lot of women, it's actually a mix of these things that works best. So with all these choices, how are you supposed to figure out what's right for you? Honestly, the most important takeaway from all of this is pretty simple. You don't have to figure this out on your own. In fact, you shouldn't. The single best thing you can do is get guidance from a healthcare professional who gets it. And here's a really concrete piece of advice. Try to find a clinician who really specializes in this. The Menopause Society actually offers a special certification. It's called an MSCP for doctors and practitioners who've done extra training in this area. Finding that right partner for your health journey can be a total game changer. Phew, we have covered a lot of ground, haven't we? From those very first signs all the way to the different ways you can manage this journey. So I want to leave you with this question, just for you. Based on everything we've talked about, what's one thing, just one, that you can act on today? Maybe it's starting to track a symptom, maybe it's looking up a certified practitioner, or maybe it's just cutting yourself some slack. Whatever it is, I hope you feel a little more empowered to take that step. Thanks for joining me.